It's easy to say the wilderness took them, but what if the wilderness was covering for someone? 10 years ago, the Jensen family vanished without a trace. No footprints, no signal, no remains. Just an engine's last transmission, a burst of static over the mountains. Locals accepted the story. Alaska is vast, merciless, and full of secrets. But one day, a pilot flying low spots an unnatural reflection under the frozen surface of Dead River Pass. And what he finds rewrites everything people believed about that night. Today we uncover 5 warning signs, 5 overlooked truths that might have saved the Jensens. One of them was so subtle, investigators dismissed it entirely. Yet it turned out to be the key to understanding what really happened in the Alaskan wilderness. It begins with cold static. Saturday morning, April 3rd, 10 years ago, a line of gray clouds crawls over the Talkeetna Range, bringing the kind of cold that eats through engines and bone alike. Daniel Jensen's Cessna 206 departs from a private strip near the family's cabin, carrying him, his wife Laura, and their 15-year-old son Owen. Their destination, Anchorage, a quick 90-minute flight south. By noon, the temperature drops, the clouds thicken, and the Jensens' radio signal falls silent. Local tower controllers log their last transmission. A faint reply, Daniel's voice cutting off halfway through a sentence, going to circle back over, then static. The Cessna never lands in Anchorage. For the first few hours, no one panics. This is Alaska, after all. Radios freeze. Mountains interfere. People vanish for hours, sometimes days, only to reappear with a good story and frost-bitten fingers. But by nightfall, unease spreads through Talkeetna. Sarah Jensen, Daniel's younger sister, sits by her phone in Anchorage, dialing the cabin number repeatedly. No answer. She calls Daniel's old flying buddy, Mike Harding, for any word. "Haven't heard from them since yesterday afternoon," Mike tells her, his voice tight. Daniel mentioned stopping by the maintenance hangar before heading out. Something about the altimeter acting up. "Did he say anything else?" Sarah asks. A pause on the line. "No, but—" Mike hesitates. "Look, Daniel's always been meticulous, always files flight plans to the minute, always checks equipment 3 times over. And his logbook entries are never missing." By the time search and rescue mobilize the next morning, the clouds have thickened into a wall across the mountains. 3 helicopters take off from Talkeetna, expecting to find wreckage within hours. They find nothing. Not that day. Not the next. Not the day after. By day 4, they're no longer looking for survivors. They're looking for bodies. By day 7, they're no longer looking for bodies. They're looking for any sign that the Jensens or their plane ever existed at all. Nothing. The official search ends after 3 weeks. The unofficial search, led by Sarah Jensen, continues for months. Eventually, even she accepts what everyone else already has. The wilderness took them. It wouldn't be the first time Alaska swallowed a family whole. But something doesn't add up. Something in the silence itself feels wrong. When investigators examine Daniel's logbook, found in his hangar, they notice something peculiar. 1 page torn clean out, no smudges, no signs of damage, just the clean edge of a deliberately removed sheet. The missing page, page 47, it should have contained the departing route from the cabin that Saturday morning. The rest of the log reads normally, entries numbered in sequence, except page 47 is gone. Local authorities dismiss it as coincidence. Maybe Daniel removed it to note something separately. Maybe he spilled coffee on it. Maybe it blew away. Sarah doesn't buy it. She remembers Daniel saying he planned to reroute through Dead River Pass, a dangerous air corridor known for unpredictable winds. But that corridor wasn't mentioned anywhere else in his logs. Why would he tear out only that page? She asks investigators. Why that specific flight? They shrug. In Alaska, mysteries stack up like winter snowfall. One more layer hardly matters. When search crews finally reach the family's lakeside cabin, access delayed by heavy storms, they find it unnervingly ordinary. Coffee mugs left on the porch, coats missing, but fishing gear still hanging, the wood stove still warm, as if they'd just stepped out. Laura's phone is discovered charging near the kitchen window, unplugged just minutes before departure based on the battery level. Her phone carrier records show a final text drafted at 6:42 a.m., never sent. He keeps saying we'll be fine. I'm not so sure. To investigators at the time, it's heartbreakingly irrelevant. To Sarah, it's a sign. Who is he? She demands. Daniel? Someone else? And what wasn't she sure about? The investigators add it to the file. Another footnote in a disappearance that's rapidly becoming cold as the glaciers surrounding Talkeetna. The final oddity comes a week into the investigation. Early reports claim the Jensen's plane transponder failed mid-flight, leading to gaps in radar data. This happens occasionally in the mountains. Equipment freezes, signals bounce wrong. It's part of what makes Alaskan flying so dangerous. But when the FAA reviews the full data packet, they find something else. The transponder never failed at all. It was turned off manually. At this point, the investigation should have pivoted. Questions should have been raised about intentional disappearance, about foul play, about the possibility that the Jensens didn't vanish by accident. Instead, the report notes, equipment malfunction possible despite indicators of manual deactivation. High-altitude conditions may cause anomalous readings. In Talkeetna, almost everyone has a disappearance story. Some think ghosts take people. Others blame weather, avalanches, or wildlife. But when volunteers mention Dead River Pass, conversation always goes quiet. The last 3 disappearances were all near that same stretch of airspace, all unsolved. It's a bad corridor, says Mara Ikik, a local guide whose family has lived in the region for generations. The elders say the compass spins backward there. Pilots who fly it straight start seeing things that aren't there. When asked if she thinks that's what happened to the Jensens, Mara just looks away. The land knows what happened. The land remembers. This isn't the first time a family has vanished in these mountains. In 1990, bush pilot Carl Dannemore disappeared with his 2 passengers while flying through a late-season storm. Despite a massive search, no wreckage was found. 10 years later, a receding glacier revealed his crash site, in a melt pocket 14 miles off his filed route. The mystery wasn't that he crashed. It was why his coordinates had been altered to hide it. For the residents of Talkeetna, the wilderness becomes the perfect scapegoat. It doesn't talk back. It doesn't offer explanations. It just consumes and conceals. By the time the investigation officially closes, the town has already folded the Jensens into their mythology. One more family claimed by an indifferent landscape, one more cautionary tale about respecting the brutal power of the Alaskan wild. But Sarah Jensen keeps digging. For months, she interviews pilots who flew that corridor. She collects weather data, maintenance records, radio transmissions. She builds a box of evidence that no one wants to examine. Ticket stubs, weather maps, a recorder with Daniel's last flight radio check. The more I look, she tells anyone who will listen, the more I see patterns that don't make sense. The silence isn't random. Eventually, even Sarah's determination falters. Her brother, his wife, her nephew, all gone. The box gets stored away. Life, somehow, continues. And for 10 years, the mountains keep their secret. Until one day, a pilot named Eli Mercer flies too low over Dead River Pass and sees something shimmering beneath the ice. Something that shouldn't be there. Something man-made.